Hi families, this is Miss Bradley. This is our first flip lesson. And so what's going to happen is you guys are going to simply watch the video. And this week we are identifying patterns with addition and with multiplication. And we are going to compare them. The students have just like a little graphic organizer, a little foldable that they can use, but we're gonna wait. Originally, excuse me, I told them that we would use that tonight for homework, but we had some delays, so I'm gonna wait for that, and they're gonna do that with me in class tomorrow. I do want students, though, to pay attention to a few things specifically. So I want you all to pay attention to what happens when two odd numbers are added together. Pay attention to what happens when two even numbers are added together. And I want you to pay attention to what happens when an even and an odd number are added together. And in your notebook, just take notes of that. And then in the second video, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to pay attention to what happens when two odd numbers are multiplied by each other. What happens to two even numbers that are multiplied by each other. And you're going to look at what happens to an odd number and an even number when they are multiplied by each other. And you're going to take notes on that. And then we're going to start comparing those patterns of addition and multiplication on tomorrow. So you're going to watch this video first. This is the one on addition. So once you finish it, you can pause the lesson so that you can, and you can pause as you go. Parents, you can write down what you notice about, again, even plus even, odd plus odd, and then an odd plus an even. Okay. All right, here we go.
How do you predict if the sum of 3 and 5 is odd or even? In this lesson, you will learn to identify patterns by using an addition chart. Let's review. Here's 4 stars. I know these are even because all objects have a partner. 4 is even. When I have 5 objects, I have partners, but no partner. So 5 is odd. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are even numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd numbers. A common mistake is not identifying even and odd numbers correctly when out of counting sequence. Addition is combining add-ins to find the sum. We can use an addition chart like this. Across, horizontally, and vertically are add-ins. If we want to find the sum of 3 plus 4, we know where they intersect is the sum of 7. 6 plus 6 equals 12, and 0 plus 7 equals 7. Does order matter? When we're adding, let's look at 3 plus 4 again. We know that results in 7. What if we changed our add-ins to read 4 plus 3? Again, it equals 7. 6 plus 6 equals 12. That's a double, so we can't really change the order of the add-ins. 0 plus 7 equals 7. So does it make sense that 7 plus 0 equals 7? We call this the commutative property for addition, because order does not matter. What happens when two even numbers are added? 6 and 4 are even. They equal 10, an even number. 8 plus 8 equals 16. 16 is also an even number. 10 and 2, both even numbers, result in 12, an even sum. So we can say an even plus an even equals even. What happens when two odd numbers are added? 3 and 5 are odd. They result in 8, an even number. 7 and 3 make 10, an even number. 9 plus 5 equals 14, another even number. And we know 14 is even because 4 is an even number. So we just have to look at that number in the ones place. So we know an odd plus an odd added equals an even sum. What happens when one odd and one even number are added? 2 and 3 equal 5, an odd number. 6 and 7, even plus odd equals 13, an odd number. 8 plus 9 equals 17. So based on this, we can say an odd plus an even added equals an odd sum. Use what you know about even and odd numbers to predict the sum, and then add. Here's 12 plus 13. 12 is even, 13 is odd, so our sum should be odd. 12 plus 13 equals 25, an odd number. 26 plus 12. Both are even numbers, and we learned an even plus an even added equals an even sum. 26 plus 12 equals 38. 31 plus 13, two odd numbers, but we learned an odd plus an odd equals an even sum. In this lesson, you have learned to identify patterns by using an addition chart.
Okay, guys, so you should have your notes from this video. And if you need to take a minute and pause to take your notes, or you need to go back, you can. And so the last video that we are going to view will show you the patterns of multiplication. Okay, so if you give me a moment, we're going to switch to that video, and then you'll be done with your math homework. Okay, guys, so here we go. Let's get ready for our multiplication video. And give me a second because we're having some sound issues. Okay, guys, so the sound should be working right. Here we go.
Using a multiplication chart. Look at the equation 4 times 3 equals 12. The factors are 4 and 3, and the product is 12. Here's the multiplication table. The numbers in blue are the factors, the numbers in white are the products. We can find 3 times 4 by seeing the intersection where they meet. We see that equals 12. 7 times 5 equals 35, and 10 times 6 equals 60. We can use the chart to find patterns of multiples. Let's look at 3 times 7. That equals 21. If we calculate 3 times 8, we see that's 24. Predict where 3 times 9 will land. Did you guess 27? We're going down the column. So 3 times 10 must be 30. 3 times 11 results in 33. And 3 times 12 equals 36. Let's look at 3 times 7 again. We know that's 21. What happens when we reverse the order of our factors and do 7 times 3? It still equals 21. A different place on the chart though. 3 times 8 equals 24, and we see that again as 8 times 3 equaling 24. 3 times 9 we know is 27, so 9 times 3 must be 27 also. The order of the factors doesn't matter. This is called the commutative property. Let's look at the identity property. This tells us any factor times 1 equals that factor. So in yellow are all the products of multiplying a number times 1, 3 times 1 equals 3. 8 times 1 equals 8. 1 times 5 equals 5. 1 times 6 equals 6. And if we multiplied 1 times 88, it would equal 88. Let's look at the multiples of 5 vertically and horizontally. You'll recognize those as skip counting by 5. And notice in the ones place, it's either a 5 or a 0. But if we multiplied an odd factor times an odd factor, such as 3 times 7, we know that's 21. 9 times 5 equals 45. So far we have 2 odd products. 1 times 11 equals 11. 9 times 9 equals 81. So when we multiply an odd factor times an odd factor, it results in an odd product. Let's try an odd factor times an even factor, such as 3 times 8. That equals 24. 9 times 6 equals 54. So far our products are even numbers. 1 times 10 equals 10. And 5 times 6 equals 30. So we can say an odd factor times an even factor equals an even product. What about an even factor times an even factor, such as 6 times 8? That equals 48. 4 times 6 equals 24. So far, even products, 10 times 10, 100. 2 times 6 is 12. So we can say an even factor times an even factor equals an even product. In this lesson, you have learned to find multiplication patterns by using a multiplication chart. How do you know if 3...
All right, guys. So you've watched both videos, and now you have your notes to take. What happens when you add odd plus odd? What happens when you add even plus even? What happens when you add odd plus even? And you can also tell now what happens when you multiply odd times odd, what happens when you multiply even times even, and what happens when you multiply even times odd. The last thing I want you to do is take a look at what you saw in addition with those patterns and what you saw in multiplication, and make a note. What is the one thing that is different when you looked at the multiplication patterns versus the addition patterns? And let's be ready to have that conversation in the morning. All right, parents, if you have any issues getting to the website, let me know. You can message me on Class Dojo. Go to my website and look around and see any other resources, but definitely message me on Class Dojo if you have any other issues. Make sure, guys, if you have any questions, you write those down in your homework notebook as you are taking notes, as taking notes now becomes homework for us. So we'll start tomorrow's lesson with any questions that you have of things that you did not understand on the lesson. All right, guys, have a good night, and I will see you in the morning.